Hi. First off, forgive the background noise. I'm sitting in my kitchen. My refrigerator just decided to kick on right before I was ready to record this, and I'm in a hurry. I don't have time to wait for it to cycle off. So if you hear that sort of blowing air sound in the background, that's what we're dealing with. I just wanted to talk a minute about the 3 shows that I've been to so far and a few highlights, observations, etc. The Chicago show. First of all, I took 2 people to the Chicago show. A 12-year-old named Jack. He's my best friend's cousin and my best friend. And my best friend had a VIP pass, but when we invited Jack along, he gave his VIP pass up to Jack so that he could meet the band, which was a really nice thing to do. I'm sorry, I'm a little hoarse, but I still have not got my voice back from the back-to-back shows in Flint and Pittsburgh. So, Marcos, who is a Patreon member, showed up to the venue. We were waiting outside, and he had an extra VIP meet and greet. So my friend Brad got to meet the band after all. So shout out to Marcos. That was amazing. And yes, Marcos, I will pay it forward. A couple of the biggest takeaways from the night probably was that, and if you've seen my sound check video, you probably noticed this or read it in the comments. Danny was a little bit, I don't know if her voice was stressed or if she was feeling a little under the weather, but you could definitely tell from the sound check that she was not her typical perky self, and she was squeezing lemon juice down her throat before the show. But it did not affect her energy levels at all. Now, I thought she had laid back on her vocals a little bit a few times, but going back and listening to the recording, I don't think that was the case. It was such a loud show. It was like it's probably the second loudest show I've ever been to in my life, and I've been to over 100 concerts. The PA system in that place was way overpowered, and they used all of it, or it seemed like they did. It was so loud that it was seriously messing up my ears, and I thought Danny's guitar was out of tune at one point. And again, going back and listening to recordings, it was not. So it was just the volume level was actually screwing up my ears. My left ear buzzed for over an hour after the show. I couldn't hear anything in that ear. And I had been front row, just left of center. So the PA really messed up my left ear. I thought I was going to have permanent damage, honestly. Devora, that was the last show Devora played until they get out to California, where they'll take over again. I really enjoyed Devora. I thought they were a lot of fun. She's a lot of fun. I think Devora is she, and the band is just a backup band. Could be wrong about that, but that's kind of the impression I get. I'd even mentioned Devora to Rudy, and he said, yeah, she was great. So, I'm leaning towards, it's just, that's her name, kind of like Madonna. Really good. She does kind of an outlaw country, dark pop mix, but she's got a couple of rock songs, but the other songs that aren't really rock, they sort of rocked it up. So they came across as more rock songs live. I really enjoyed them. Her drummer was great. Her guitarist was fun. Her vocals were good. I think they were a little low in the mix, but still, decipherable. They were good. And the warning was amazing as always. Like I said, Danny, even if she was under the weather, her energy was through the roof as always. And that was the only show that I've attended so far where they played the new When I'm Alone with the acoustic intro. I was really grateful to see that. I'd seen it from a recording from an earlier show. I think it was in Monterey. And I was really hoping to see that live, and I did get to see it live, and I was super pumped about that. I could talk forever about each show. I'm just hitting highlights. So let's move on to Flint. Flint had a much longer sound check, and I think that was, I don't know if that was because they were having trouble setting up the sound, or if that was to make up for the 16-minute 2-song sound check that they did in Chicago. But yeah, 40 minutes, 4 songs, a lot of chatter and tuning and stuff in between. But that was great. My fingertips went numb holding the phone, recording it for y'all, but I tried to hold as still as possible. I was zoomed in. When they do sound checks, they want you to sit back away from the stage a little bit. And I'm assuming that's because they don't want you blocking the sound, so they can set it up properly. But we're halfway across the floor from the stage, so I'm fully zoomed in on the stage. And as anyone knows that records stuff on their phone or a digital camera, the more you zoom in, the more exaggerated every movement is. Just sort of hold perfectly still, zoomed in, or as near to perfect as possible, is pretty rough. And to do it for 40 minutes is it's no joke. But I got it done. And then after the sound check, I went outside. Actually, they did a pre-meet and greet with just the Ultimates. All the VIP meet and greet people were still outside, and they decided to go ahead and just let us do the meet and greet ahead of everybody else. And they had these venue posters, and they were really cool. They had the original dates before they postponed the tour, but they had printed the new dates over it. So the old dates were in white, and they printed new dates and information in yellow. And you could see little bits and pieces of the old dates underneath it. And I thought that was really cool. And they had a whole stack of them at the venue. And so we all grabbed one and got those signed. And I was taking that out to the car. And I saw that there were probably, 40 or 50 people lined up outside at that point, the VIP meet and greet people. And about 4th or 5th in line was Just Jen, the YouTube reactor. And I had heard that her meet and greet fell through. I guess the guy that promised meet and greet for her got robbed or something. I don't know the whole story. But I felt bad for her, so I had already asked Rudy if I could get a copy of the set list for her, which is what you're looking at right now. And he said, yeah, absolutely. I said, if you see her in the front row, just hand it to her. If not, just hand it to me and I'll find her after the show. I did not find her after the show, clearly, because you're staring at the set list. So, fast forward really quick. I did contact her on her YouTube channel, and she sent me a P.O. box. So I'm sending, I'm sending this set list off to her later this morning. I just wanted to use it as a backdrop because no one wants to see my ugly face. So Hero the band. I had seen Hero. I first became acquainted with Hero the band, and this was their first opening set for The Warning on this tour. I had seen them originally on the Detour, DE in parentheses tour. I know a lot of you are familiar with it, but it was that online fundraiser that they did to make money for venues that were struggling during the pandemic, during the lockdown. And that was the same fundraiser where Lizzie Hale discovered them and fell in love with them, and that's why they're touring with Hailstorm later this year. I enjoyed their song that they did on Detour so much that I actually sent a link to their YouTube. I think they put that song up, that performance up on YouTube. I sent that link to 2 or 3 friends. I really enjoyed that song, and then I saw them at Welcome to Rockville in Daytona, and they were really fun. They do a wide variety of music, but they have enough rock songs or songs that can be rocked up to do a full set list, or a full set, and so they did a 30-minute set. I think it was 6 songs. I got a copy of their set list as well. There were 5 songs on the set list, but then they closed with My Hero by the Foo Fighters, which is a great send-off. I mean, they're hero of the band. You know, it's a great way to exit the stage. Gets the whole crowd singing with them. Most of the people didn't know their songs. I did. I was singing along, and actually, the front man, Jeremy, he noticed I was singing along. At one point in the show, there was a pole that came out from the stage, bent towards the audience, and then went down into the floor. And there was a chain attached to it. So it's just like a round pole, I don't know, 2.5 inches in diameter. And he put a foot on it at one point, and he crouched down in front of me with a foot on that, and he said, "Take my hand, take my hand." I said, "What?" He said, "Take my hand." So I took his hand, and he put the other foot on it, and he stood up on it, and he was doing this balancing act while he was singing to the crowd. And my arm was shaking. Both our arms were shaking, you know, for him trying to keep perfect balance. And I don't think anybody noticed that, but I was just worried he was going to fall off, either way and crash to the floor, because he was standing over the gap between the stage and the audience. And it's a bit of a fall if he lost his balance. But he was fine. It was probably 20 seconds. It seemed like 20 years. After the show, he thanked me for holding him up, and he said, "I saw you singing our songs." And I was going to buy a shirt, but they ran out of merch. Now, I did tell him. He said they weren't going to have any more merch till Boston, and I said, "The Warning fans are going to take care of you. You might want to get more than you think you're going to need, because you already sold out here, and you were probably planning on having that merch for the next few shows." And so he was made aware that they're going to make some money on merch. The light show at Flint was... Oh, my refrigerator turned off. The light show and the smoke show at Flint was unbelievable. In fact, it was so powerful, it kind of messed with my recordings. You had to be there. There's a reason why huge bands play that small club. I think it holds maybe 500 people, something in that range. But the stage is cool. The whole venue is cool. The knickknacks on the wall, they had everything from band photos to animated cartoon drawings they had a full skull with horns of a Texas Longhorn on the wall. They had all kinds of rock memorabilia, and it just seemed like every square foot of the interior was covered in something. Very cool. And the light show and the smoke show was as good as anything I've ever seen in any major arena in my life. It was just unbelievable. In fact, the next night, the drummer of Hero of the Band said it was like being on a movie set. He couldn't get over it either. What else? Allie's bass batteries died. The 2 9-volts in her bass. I guess I'm not sure. I know there's a pack that they plug into it, a transmitter, but I think the batteries are somewhere else, because she swapped that pack out, that little plug-in pack, into her backup bass. I asked Carlos the next night, and he said her batteries died. So that's why she switched to her backup bass on second or third song, something like that. A lot of people wondered about that, so I wanted to mention that. And then they closed with Psychotic, which you can see from the set list. It was the only show of the 3 that I went to so far where they closed with Psychotic, and I was thrilled. I was so afraid at one point that they were going to not play the old songs if they released a full album of new songs, which was their intent at one time. But because they released an EP, they have to fill a full set with old songs. And so, this tour may be the last time we hear some of these songs. And Psychotic was a pretty standard closer for them for a long time. And I was so happy to get to hear that song live. Excuse me, my voice is starting to go again. Okay, on to Pittsburgh, or Warrendale. It was actually Warrendale. It's Pittsburgh on the tour poster, I think. But some of the biggest takeaways: the meet and greet, me getting to record the handover of the original Rock Band gear was a really special moment for me, just to be standing in the same room with it. And I did get to touch the drums, by the way. Just to say I did. But yeah, that was a special moment. And then I got to take a still photo of him with his a friend, son. I'm not sure who the guy was that was with him, but they were holding the guitars and the drums, and I put that up on Patreon with a link to the YouTube video. But that just seemed like a really big moment. And I was so grateful to him, to Jeff, for allowing me to upload that video and the picture. So thanks to him again. Here the band was great again. They played a very different set. They actually went on 15 minutes early and played a 45-minute set. I'm not sure why. Only 3 of the songs were played the night before, if I'm correct. And there were 4 or 5 songs, I think 5 songs that they did not play in Flint. So that was cool. Very different set. Very active band. They move, especially the front man. He's all over the place. He even went out in the audience at one point. The sound in Pittsburgh was the best yet. And Isaiah said that was his 5th show, and he said it was the best they ever sounded. It was my 4th show with them, and it was the best I had ever heard them. We got a chance to talk to, a few of us got a chance to talk to Rudy out in the parking lot for about 20 or 30 minutes after the show. Everybody was gone. It was calm, parking lot empty. And we had a great conversation with Rudy, and he said that was the best that Ali's bass had sounded yet. Now, I don't know if that meant yet on the tour or yet ever, but he said it was crisp, it was clear, and he just loved it. Now, that may have a lot to do with the PA there at the venue, or the acoustics, because it was a high vaulted ceiling. There was an upstairs with a rail that went all the way around. I believe Rudy actually live streamed from up there, and very high vaulted wooden ceiling, almost like a cathedral or something. The acoustics were amazing in there, and of course they put on a great show again. They always do, but this show had some young kids, and that's the last thing I want to talk about. There were 2 little girls on Danny's side of the stage, right on the side of the stage. I don't know how old they were, maybe 8 or 9, 10. And then there was a little girl, center stage, a 2nd row, maybe. And then there were some kids up in the upstairs. And when the show was over, Rudy came out to tear the set lists off the stage, and Danny pointed to the 2 little girls, and he nodded, and he took her copy of the set list over to them. Pau came out and handed her drumstick to the little girl that was center stage, and made sure she got the drumstick. And I was told that Rudy took one of the set lists upstairs and gave it to another little kid upstairs, and I think they gave some guitar picks out to the kids as well. So, that's just how this organization, this team is, this band is. They're you watch a great show, and then you see something heartwarming like that, and you walk away feeling even better. It's just good stuff. So that's it. I know I've been talking forever. Probably most of you stopped listening 2 minutes in. According to my analytics, that usually happens. But if you did listen to the whole thing, thank you. If this is the first thing you've seen by me, I would like to ask you to subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to get the Warnings music out to people that haven't seen it yet. That's the main purpose of this channel. Probably 80% of my posts are the Warning related. And I just got a comment on a video last night while I was sleeping, I think, where a guy said he'd never seen the band before, and he was amazed. He just thought they were great, and he loved Pau's drumming, and he said he hoped to be able to see him in LA. So, I think those shows are sold out, but if he does manage to get a ticket, getting this out to new people, it translates into ticket sales and merch sales and Patreon members and money going towards the band. much deserved revenue for the band. They're finally just starting to break out, and I want to help speed that process up as much as possible. So if you could subscribe and like my videos, go back and watch my uploads. If you haven't seen all of them or some of them, please do. I don't want to sound like, that guy, that YouTuber that asks for all that stuff. And I'm not going to do that every time I upload a video, but I am asking just this once. So if you're still here and you haven't done that yet, could you please do that? Thanks. Now I'm going to get this set list packed up, and I got a photo of me and just Jen that I'm going to send along with a little letter. I got to get down to the post office and get that sent off to her. So it goes out before, I want to get it in there before the mail ships today, so she gets it by Monday or Tuesday. She lives one state over, so it shouldn't take too long. Thanks for listening. I'll give you another update after the next set of shows.